their shields and their swords, to fight the fight they believe to be right, overthrow the overlords.
When we lined up against Oklahoma in the 2007 Fiesta Bowl, I mean, not many people gave us a chance.
Zabransky might be the last play of his career. Back to pass. Sets up. Fires. Caught. Oh! Hook and ladder, and the Broncos are going to score. And Rab is in for the touchdown. They caught it. The hook and lateral, and the Broncos have scored. And an extra point will tie it up.
When you come out and start hitting a team in the mouth right off the bat, you know, they're not expecting that. You know, that takes the wind out of their sails a little bit. They kind of go, oh.
Peretta is the quarterback. The ball is snapped. Peretta rolling to the right. Fires. Got a man out there. Touchdown, Boise State. Oh, mama.
You don't have many chances in life. It's like birth, or death. There's only so many chances and moments, and they gave that moment to a lot of us.
Boise State out of the huddle, trailing 42-41, going for a two-point conversion from the 3-yard line.
I think it might have been Lomax, one of our backup quarterbacks, that had said, "Hey, what about statue here?" And almost immediately, Pete was like, "Yeah, it's a great play."
And it's a fake play. They're going to score. Ian Johnson. They rolled the ball to Ian Johnson, and he scored. And the Broncos have won the Fiesta Bowl. Can you believe it?
It propelled this Cinderella story to an epic proportion and to a different level of awareness for the city and the school and the state, and it's never looked back.
I have a jacket I wear in the wintertime through airports that has the Boise State logo on it, and I can't tell you the number of times people in airports just stop me and say, "Oklahoma, Fiesta Bowl 2007. That's usually the first thing they say.
And to be able to win that football game, and not just win it, but win it the way that we won it, that certainly was a stage that we had never been on before, and a national audience that we had never had the opportunity to perform in front of before. And that really kind of opened the door to where we're going right now.
But to know where you're going, you first need to know how you got where you are.
That's one thing, you're very well educated here when you first get here, as far as the history of this program, where it's been, where it's going, and all the people that have impacted this program.
You got a young man coming into your program from Arizona or Texas or California, and they walk into the building and they know about the blue turf and they know about the Fiesta Bowls, but they may not really understand the tradition that has built all this here that's now in Boise. And so I think that's a part of the indoctrination process, is really, if they're going to be a Bronco, they got to know what it means to be a Bronco, and a big part of that is your past.
Boise Junior College started playing football in 1933, but in 1947, Lyle Smith was hired, and he helped change the school's image forever.
So an average season for Boise State was 8-2. That was an average season. Lyle, I think, had 6 or 7 undefeated seasons and won national championship in 1958.
Of course, the game was much simpler back at that time.
The 1958 Junior College Championship over Tyler College was the first of Boise's titles, and even back then it vaulted them firmly onto a national stage.
We may lose sometime, but it won't be because they're not prepared to play. I know I get a lot of accolades, but I was so lucky to have the people to work for and against, and then the young men that we had. I just feel it. We had a few bumps along the way, but it's been a nice trip.
Lyle had done a fabulous job when they were a junior college and won a national championship. And when they became a four-year school, Lyle very wisely hired a guy that brought not only fundamental football to Boise State, but exciting offense, and that was Tony Knapp. And I followed Tony. And you know, the Lyle had done such a good job from the junior college, and Tony carried that on through their early years. You know, they never had a period where they had to go through some kind of a nursing program. They jumped in and started beating people right off the bat.
In 1971, the Broncos got their first taste of big-time success when they went 10-2. It was their second year in the Big Sky Conference. Tony Knapp and the Broncos were a perfect 7-0 at home, and they beat Chico State in the Camellia Bowl.
Even though it was Division II football, it was very exciting football, and they went to the Camellia Bowl and won the championship. And the fans here have always had this idea that we can play in the big time. You couldn't stop us because we're going to do our job better than you do your job.
In 1980, the Broncos earned a trip to Sacramento and a matchup with Eastern Kentucky in the Division I AA national title game. And it looked grim with the Broncos down by 5 with time running out.
First down on the 20-yard line for Boise State's Broncos, who are trailing now by 5. Aliotti fires it, complete to Kip Bedard. First down. It's 29-24. Eastern Kentucky out in front. 44 seconds to go for the national championship. Aliotti makes the fake, then throws down the sideline. Bedard is there, out of bounds at the 13-yard line by Rodney Byrd. Fourth down. Boise State is trailing by 5. The ball is resting on the 14-yard line, and here's Aliotti. They give him plenty of protection. Now he throws, a man in the corner of the end zone. Touchdown! It's Bedard!
When we won the national championship in 1980, that's what was expected.
From 1983 to 1996, the Broncos only had 4 losing seasons, going 97 and 63 under 4 different coaches. In 1996, the Broncos made the leap to Division I and joined the Big West Conference. That same year, health issues forced Pokey Allen to quit after a 2-10 record. In 1997, Houston Nutt took over and led the Broncos to a 5-6 record in his only season, marking the first time since 1938 that Boise State had back-to-back losing seasons. It's never happened since. In 1999, the Broncos went 10-3 and picked up a win in the Humanitarian Bowl. It was their first ever bowl win as a Division I team. The following year, Dirk Cutter led the Broncos to a 10-2 record and another Humanitarian Bowl victory.
They won a national championship at the junior college level. They competed in the Division II national championship. They won a 1AA national championship, and I think they're close to competing for one at the highest level of football. So this place has won football games. If you look at their percentage, their winning percentage since they started football, they're amongst the best football programs in the country. There's something here in Boise, Idaho about playing great football that has always been the expectation.
After 3 years, Cutter left and Dan Hawkins was promoted to head coach. The Broncos also upped the ante that year by moving to the WAC.
My biggest charge was just to get everybody to think bigger and to go, hey, we can be one of those top 15. That was kind of my deal, was like, can we be a top 15 team every year? And feeling like we had that and just trying to get, because again, when you come from junior college to Division II to 1AA to Division I, I mean, that's a pretty rapid ascent. and then just trying to kind of go, yeah, we have all the makings of, and shoot, you look around the country at the Nebraskas and those kinds of places. I mean, everybody loves the Broncos and everybody's all about the Broncos.
We have a pretty detailed directive from Coach Peterson in terms of the types of young men that we're looking to bring into Boise State. And we call it the OKG, our kind of guy.
You know, tough and hard-nosed and love football, and so that's what we've tried to do here.
We know we're not going to get, in most cases, that 5-star athlete, and that we're going to have to go after a type of individual that fits into our program, that fits into our culture, and does want to work hard, does have a chip on their shoulder.
There's definitely kind of a profile that you have to fit in here. I think so many of the guys here, there's a lot of guys who probably had tough situations in that recruiting process, maybe weren't highly recruited, or maybe had injuries and people look the other way because of that. We got a lot of hardworking blue-collar guys there, and we emphasize that. We want good people here, and I think that's one big thing. When you're surrounded by good people, good things happen, and that's something we've really been fortunate to have.
We were a lot of 2-star recruits. We were guys that were undersized, but not underdeveloped. We had the heart, we had the determination, we had the skills, but football is one of those things where you can almost say, well, what are your numbers? What are your measurables? We have things here that are unmeasurable. Heart, desire, the dedication to stick to one another regardless of the situation. And that fundamental, that core value of having good people over good players is what's propelled this team.
We look for guys that are good students, really, really good, and then are good athletes. And you got to have good athletes to have a good football team, but when you combine those 3 profiles of what the kid we're looking for, and in anything with what we do, especially on offense, kids find their roles, and they're very unselfish.
Those lifelong brotherhood, relationships that these guys build here at Boise State is a lot different than the ones that I see around the country in other schools.
It really means something when you put the blue and orange on and you have a blue-collar mentality. People don't really give you that kind of respect, and still today, that's what drives a lot of our programs.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to find really good football players that are really good people that really value their education. And if we can put together those 3 things, then we're going to have the opportunity to develop that young man into a really good football player.
As we built good football teams and players, we also built the academics and the character development into it. And we got some wonderful players. We had some terrific people here. And the thing that was really the telltale sign at the end, when I left 6 years later, over 90% of our senior football players graduated. So that to me that's the whole ball game. It's more than the scoreboard. Obviously winning is huge around here. People want to win, and that's great. But we also can build men, and we can set some academic records too. So we're very pleased about that.
It all starts with the people. This is a blue-collar community, and these people are proud of working hard, and they're proud of everything they produce. One of the things they produce, Boise State football. And the team feeds off of that energy. That's why our field's blue. We're blue collar, through and through. We bleed blue. And that mentality brings it, so it's not just 100 players on a team, it's a whole city on a team. And we all look out for one another.
What we really tried to do was be an integral part of the community, and not in just a false way. I think the Chamber of Commerce was fired up about Boise State football. The faculty were fired up about Boise State football, the community, the teachers, and really trying to have this magical sort of existence that people could feed off and be drawn to, and start really having ideals of excellence and passion and your standards and envisioning success and all these things that successful people and organizations do, being sort of a light post for that mentality, and then a lot of people just sort of gravitating towards that.
There's a rich tradition here. The moms take their little boys as soon as they can put on a flag or a football gear, and they enroll them in the Optimists and get them going at a young age, and the whole family's involved in Bronco football.
Boise State football is the NFL franchise in this state, or the Major League Sports franchise in this state. You know, there's no NFL, there's no Major League Baseball, there's no NHL. I mean, you know, we're a good minor league sports town, but this is the show.
I was the head coach of the Scottish Claymores in the NFL Europe. The American football players over there that have been watching football over here to learn have all kind of adopted Boise State as the team that they follow. And you go throughout, at least in England, Scotland, France, places like that have pretty good American football for European teams, and Boise State's favorite team.
We've been blessed to have this, you know, to be put in a unique spot where, you know, in the fall on Saturdays, this is one of the things that people like to do.
We were going to spend $750,000 to put in another field that nobody was going to notice. Nobody was even going to care that we spent $750,000. I wanted there to be some recognition that we were investing this kind of money in our program. One day the thought occurred that, well, it's artificial turf, it's not grass. People know it's not grass, so why is it green? The trick was to get the president to agree to it without telling anybody, because we both knew that if people heard of this idea, that we would kind of get blown out of the water. A lot of, you know, jokes, comments, negative reaction that, hey, that's going to look ugly, that's ridiculous, why are they doing that? It was an opportunity to distinguish ourselves and to have something that was noteworthy, and it's become our icon in a lot of ways.
I think everybody else makes a big deal of it more than you do. Now, we do have a thing about protect the blue, and we call it the blue, and everybody else has another name for it that we don't use. We call it the blue. But once you're there and you're on it all the time, it's not that really a big deal. We kind of went from being that, you know, team that had the blue turf to being the team that was really good, and you certainly want to be in the latter category.
I'm not sure there's ever a school that has had the success at the NC2A level, Division I, you know, at such a young age.
Boise State scored big time. We are now a member of the Mountain West Conference.
I'm not sure there's ever a school that has had the success at the NC2A level, Division I, you know, at such a young age as Boise State has.
Obviously the win over Oklahoma put us in a different category in terms of the exposure that we have nationally.
Pulled all these different ways that really don't have anything to do with making you better.
We've always had solid leaders, and I played under Hawkins and Peterson, and both those guys have very similar styles of leading the team and always expecting so much out of the players and developing guys and pushing them to their best, and that's what's made this place what it is and gotten it the notoriety it has.
It's a very unique place just because of how fast the program's probably risen from being, you know, a junior college to Division II, 1AA, Division I, and it's just kind of gone so fast that sometimes when we go over that historical, you know, team meeting, we talk about all these things, it's kind of amazing.
There's a lot of good examples out there, programs that have kind of burst onto the scene and tried to change who they are, and it never really pays off. You gotta, you know, remember who you are, remember what got you there, You may have the ability to recruit a higher level athlete, but he better be the same type of person. He better have the same love for the game and the same commitment to excellence that you had when you started out.
Charlie Brown finally kicked the football. It went straight through the uprights, and Boise State scored big time. We are now a member of the Mountain West Conference.
We've been trying to step up and keep showing that we are who we say we are, and we're trying to get validation of what we are. And this is that opportunity to get validated. This is a bigger conference. This is a better conference. This is a more respected conference. We are moving in the right direction, as is that conference.
Well, we're really excited about the Mountain West and some of the teams that we'll be playing. We'll have a whole new set of teams, whole new set of cities, a new set of competition. And for us, it's just another step in progression towards becoming a stronger and better program.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be more challenging, without question. We know that as coaches. We know that as a program. I'm not sure people on the outside how much they know that, but we see that loud and clear. Certainly.
They'll rise. They'll set the bar there just because that's their mentality and that's who they are. And certainly the staff, their staff has a bunch of guys on it that have been around and been at other Division I programs.
Time after time, I've done my sentence, but committed no crime. And bad mistakes, I've made a few.